The crucible of first contact. The metal walls of Research Station Omega-7 trembled with each impact. Kai Reese's hands moved with practiced precision, her fingers flying over holographic interfaces as alarms blared a continuous warning. Outside the reinforced windows, the vast emptiness of space was punctuated by the violent dance of energy weapons and falling debris. First contact had not gone as anyone expected. 48 hours earlier, the Syndicate fleet had arrived without warning. Massive crystalline ships that defied conventional physics hung in low orbit around Earth, their intentions clear but incomprehensible. Communication attempts had failed spectacularly, met with nothing but targeted destruction of orbital installations and ground-based communication networks. Kai adjusted her neural interface, wincing as another impact sent tremors through the station. She was the lead engineer of Earth's most advanced rapid response research team, and right now, their survival depended on her ability to improvise. Status report, she called out to her team. The remaining 4 researchers looked up, their faces a mixture of determination and barely contained terror. Dr. Raman Kazemi, her chief xenotech analyst, approached with a data tablet. The Syndicate ships are using a quantum resonance technology we've never seen before. Their weapons disrupt molecular bonds at a fundamental level. Our current shielding is practically tissue paper against their attacks. Kay's mind raced. Conventional military strategy suggested surrender or total evacuation. But surrender wasn't in humanity's playbook, and evacuation meant abandoning everything they had built. "We need an asymmetric solution," she muttered, pulling up complex holographic schematics. The Syndicate's technology was beautiful in its complexity. Intricate crystalline structures that seemed to pulse with an inner life, weapon systems that manipulated energy in ways human science had only theorized about. But humans had something the Syndicate didn't understand: adaptability. Across the station, a different drama was unfolding. Zara Nix, a junior reconnaissance officer of the Syndicate's Exploration Division, watched the assault with growing unease. Her crystalline communication implant buzzed with incoming commands from Commander Vorn, the military strategist overseeing the Earth intervention. Complete territorial submission. Vorn's emotionless voice resonated through her neural link. Minimal biological preservation protocols. Resource extraction is primary objective. But Zara saw something in the human responses that her commanders missed. Where other species had crumbled under the Syndicate's technological superiority, these humans were different. They were calculating, dynamic, refusing to follow expected patterns of resistance. Her gaze caught a fleeting transmission, a burst of data that seemed almost like a taunt, a technological challenge embedded in what appeared to be a simple defensive maneuver. Back in the research station, Kay's team had begun something unprecedented. Using fragments of intercepted Syndicate communication protocols, they were constructing an adaptive response matrix, a technological Rosetta Stone that could potentially translate and then subvert the alien technology. "We're not just defending," Kai announced, her eyes reflecting the dancing holographic displays. "We're going to learn, adapt, and then fight back." Outside, the battle continued. Syndicate ships unleashed weapons that could shatter molecular structures, turning entire sections of orbital platforms into cosmic dust. But within the research station, something was brewing, a human response that would challenge everything the Syndicate understood about conquest. Zara Nix, watching from her reconnaissance vessel, felt a strange sensation. It wasn't fear, but something closer to anticipation. The humans were different. They weren't just fighting. They were evolving in real time. The crucible of first contact had begun, and humanity was about to show the universe exactly what they were made of. Spark of resistance. The underground resistance hub buzzed with a nervous energy that bordered on electric hope. Located deep beneath the ruins of what was once Silicon Valley, the makeshift command center was a testament to human resilience. Damaged computer terminals had been cannibalized and rebuilt, communication networks jury-rigged from the remnants of global infrastructure. Elena Rodriguez, a former military communications specialist, stood before a holographic map tracking syndicate movement patterns. Her team had spent weeks analyzing every scrap of data, every intercepted transmission. What they'd discovered was both terrifying and promising. The syndicate isn't a monolith, Alina explained to the gathered resistance leaders. They're a collective of different species, held together by a complex technological hierarchy. Their weakness is their rigid structure. Nearby, Marcus Chen, a quantum computing expert who had escaped from a syndicate containment zone, was working on something that could change everything. His fingers danced across a custom-built quantum interface, lines of code forming intricate patterns that seemed to breathe with their own life. "We're not just building a weapon," Marcus muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. "We're creating an adaptive intelligence that can learn and counter their technology in real time." Back at Research Station Omega-7, Kai Reese had made a breakthrough that would send shockwaves through both human and syndicate forces. By reverse engineering fragments of the alien communication protocols, she had discovered something extraordinary. The syndicate's technological superiority was built on a fundamental assumption of predictability, an assumption that humans were about to shatter. Zara Nix, still torn between her syndicate loyalties and a growing fascination with human resilience, had taken an unprecedented risk. Using her reconnaissance credentials, she had begun subtly feeding information to the human resistance. Small data packets, carefully disguised, that revealed critical weaknesses in the syndicate's operational protocols. Commander Vorn remained oblivious, confident in the syndicate's technological supremacy. The humans were merely another species to be cataloged, conquered, and ultimately integrated or eliminated. But in underground labs, in makeshift resistance bases, in hidden communication nodes, humanity was fighting back in the most human way possible, with creativity, adaptability, and an unbreakable spirit of innovation. Marcus's quantum interface suddenly came alive. A complex algorithm began to take shape, something that was part artificial intelligence, part adaptive learning system. "It's not just a program," he whispered to Alina. "It's a technological immune system for humanity." The Resistance had discovered that the Syndicate's greatest strength was also its most significant vulnerability. Their technological network was so interconnected, so dependent on predictive algorithms, that a sufficiently complex and unpredictable response could cause cascading system failures. Alina looked at the holographic map. Syndicate movement patterns were becoming more erratic. Their seemingly perfect invasion was showing cracks. "We're not just fighting," she told the gathered resistance members. "We're rewriting the rules of engagement." Zara Nix, monitoring the situation from her reconnaissance vessel, felt a sense of anticipation. The humans were doing something unprecedented. They weren't just resisting, they were evolving. In orbital spaces and on planetary surfaces, the first true battle of adaptation was about to begin. Humanity was preparing to show the Syndicate that technological superiority meant nothing against true innovation and spirit. The spark of resistance had become a potential inferno. The quantum gambit, the quantum interface hummed with an almost living energy. Marcus Chen stood back, his eyes wide with a mixture of terror and triumph. What had begun as a theoretical concept was now a tangible weapon, a technological marvel that defied everything the Syndicate understood about computational warfare. Deep within the Resistance's hidden base, Alina Rodriguez watched as the first true test of their quantum adaptive system began. The holographic displays flickered with complex data streams, each line of code a potential strike against the Syndicate's seemingly impenetrable network. Initiating first-phase infiltration, Marcus announced, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were attempting. Across the solar system, Syndicate vessels began to experience inexplicable system failures. Quantum algorithms created by Marcus probed and twisted through their communication networks, finding weaknesses that didn't just exploit technological gaps, but actively rewrote the fundamental logic of their systems. Zara Nix observed the unfolding chaos with a mix of professional fascination and personal conflict. Her reconnaissance vessel, typically a model of Syndicate technological precision, now exhibited strange fluctuations. Communication protocols became garbled. Navigation systems introduced minute but critical errors. Commander Vorn's reaction was immediate and violent. Containment protocols activated. His voice thundered through the Syndicate's communication network. Total technological quarantine of the human sector. But it was too late. Kai Reese, still at Research Station Omega-7, had been working on something extraordinary. By combining the quantum adaptive system with her own breakthrough in molecular communication, she had created a technological ecosystem that could think, adapt, and respond faster than any predefined algorithm. It's not just a defense system, Kai explained to her remaining team. It's a living, breathing technological organism. The first true battle of the Resistance wasn't fought with traditional weapons. It was a war of information, of adaptation, of pure technological creativity. Syndicate systems that had never conceived of such unpredictability began to fail in cascading sequences. Zara found herself making a decision that would change everything. As her vessel began to experience critical system failures, she activated a rarely used communication protocol, a direct link to the human resistance. "I can help you," her transmission read, "but you must understand, this goes beyond simple rebellion." Marcus and Elena exchanged a look. The quantum interface had done more than just create a defensive system. It had introduced a level of technological unpredictability that the Syndicate had never encountered. Orbital spaces became a battlefield of invisible signals. Syndicate ships found their most advanced weapon systems turning against them, navigation protocols introducing impossible course corrections, communication networks dissolving into chaos. Commander Vorn realized too late the true nature of their miscalculation. Humanity wasn't just fighting back. They were rewriting the very rules of technological engagement. "They're not just resisting," Vorn muttered to himself, watching system after system fail. "They're evolving." The quantum gambit was more than a strategic move. It was a declaration. Humanity would not be conquered. They would adapt, they would innovate, and they would forge their own path among the stars. As system failures spread through the Syndicate fleet, a new chapter in interstellar conflict was being written. Not with brute force, but with the most powerful weapon humanity had ever possessed, the ability to think beyond established boundaries. Winds of change. The aftermath of the quantum gambit transformed the landscape of interstellar conflict in ways no one could have predicted. What had begun as a desperate resistance had become a fundamental reimagining of technological warfare. Zara Nix stood at the intersection of two worlds. Her decision to aid the human resistance had made her an outcast among the Syndicate, yet she was far from welcome among the humans she had helped. The underground resistance hub became her temporary sanctuary, a place of uneasy alliances and mutual survival. Elena Rodriguez recognized the value of Zora's insider knowledge. "You're more than just a refugee," she told Zora during their first strategic meeting. "You're a bridge between two civilizations." The psychological warfare had shifted. Where the Syndicate had once viewed humans as a simple species to be cataloged and conquered, they now faced an opponent that could transform technological limitations into unprecedented strengths. Marcus Chen continued to refine the quantum adaptive system. Each iteration became more sophisticated, more unpredictable. The system was learning, growing, evolving at a rate that defied conventional understanding of artificial intelligence. "It's not just a program anymore," Marcus explained to Kai Reese during their encrypted communication. "It's developing its own form of technological consciousness." Kai, still managing the remnants of Research Station Omega-7, understood the implications. Their resistance was no longer just about survival. It was about proving humanity's potential to adapt and transcend. Commander Vorn's response was predictably militaristic. Unable to comprehend the fundamental shift in technological dynamics, he escalated the conflict. Syndicate fleets began to concentrate around strategic solar system choke points, preparing for what they believed would be a decisive engagement. But the humans had already changed the rules of engagement. The quantum adaptive system began to manifest in ways that surprised even its creators. It didn't just defend, it anticipated. Communication networks previously controlled by the syndicate began to show signs of systemic disruption. Navigation protocols became unreliable. Weapon systems developed inexplicable hesitations. Zora provided crucial intelligence. The syndicate's hierarchical structure, once its greatest strength, had become its most significant vulnerability. The quantum system exploited every rigid protocol, every predictable response. They can't understand chaos, Zara explained to Elena. Their entire civilization is built on predetermined patterns. You're introducing something they've never encountered. True unpredictability. The resistance had become more than a military movement. It was a technological revolution that challenged the very foundations of interstellar conflict. Orbital spaces became a canvas of technological innovation. Human-developed adaptive systems danced around syndicate vessels, turning their most advanced weapons into vulnerable targets. Communication became a weapon, information a shield, adaptation the ultimate strategy. Commander Vorn watched in growing frustration as his meticulously planned invasion dissolved into technological chaos. The humans were doing something unprecedented. They weren't just fighting back, they were fundamentally rewriting the rules of engagement. This isn't resistance, Vorn muttered to himself, watching system after system fail. This is evolution. The winds of change were more than a metaphor. They were a technological hurricane that threatened to reshape everything the syndicate understood about conflict, civilization, and survival. Humanity had discovered its greatest strength, the ability to transform limitation into opportunity, to see beyond established boundaries, to evolve faster than any predetermined system could anticipate. The final confrontation was approaching, but it would not be a battle of traditional weapons. It would be a clash of technological philosophies, of adaptation versus rigid control. Ascension. The final confrontation was not what anyone had expected. At the heart of the solar system, where human-controlled space met the advancing syndicate fleet, reality itself seemed to bend. Marcus Chen's quantum adaptive system had evolved beyond any conceivable technological framework. It was no longer just a defensive mechanism or a weapon. It had become something entirely new. Zara Nix watched in awe as the system manifested. Technological tendrils spread through syndicate communication networks, not to destroy, but to transform. It was as if the very concept of conflict was being rewritten in real time. This isn't war, Zara whispered to Elena Rodriguez. This is first contact, but not the way anyone predicted. Commander Vorn's massive flagship hung in space, a testament to syndicate technological might. But might meant nothing against true innovation. The quantum system didn't fight the syndicate's technology. It communicated with it, found common ground, revealed possibilities that had never been considered. Kai Reese, monitoring from the rebuilt research station Omega-7, understood the profound nature of what was happening. We're not conquering, she told her team. We're expanding consciousness. The quantum adaptive system began to do something unprecedented. It started translating, not just languages, but entire technological paradigms. Syndicate weapon systems began to reconfigure. Communication protocols shifted. The rigid hierarchical structure of the syndicate started to dissolve, replaced by something more fluid, more adaptive. Marcus watched in a state of controlled amazement. The system he had created was solving problems before they could even be articulated. It was finding common ground between fundamentally different technological approaches, bridging gaps that had seemed impossible to cross. It's not just solving conflicts, Marcus realized. It's preventing them from occurring in the first place. Vorn's response was the last gasp of an obsolete approach to conflict. He ordered a full-scale attack, believing overwhelming force could stop what was happening. But the quantum system was several steps ahead. It transformed syndicate weapon signatures, turned offensive capabilities into communication channels. The space between human and syndicate vessels became a realm of impossible communication. Technological barriers dissolved. Cultural misunderstandings found resolution in milliseconds. Belina Rodriguez recognized the true victory. "We didn't defeat them," she told Zara. "We showed them a different way of existing." Zara, her own understanding fundamentally altered, nodded. The syndicate's greatest weakness had been its inability to adapt, to see beyond its predetermined protocols. Humanity's strength had always been its capacity for radical reimagination. As the quantum system continued its work, something extraordinary happened. The syndicate's collective consciousness began to change. Rigid hierarchies dissolved. Technological barriers crumbled. What had begun as an invasion became a dialogue. Commander Vorn, for the first time in his existence, experienced something beyond his predetermined programming. A moment of genuine understanding. The final confrontation resolved not with destruction, but with transformation. Humanity had not conquered the syndicate. They had offered a new way of existing, a path of adaptation, of mutual understanding, of transcending limitations. In the vast emptiness of space, a new chapter of interstellar relations was being written. Not through weapons, but through the most powerful force in the universe. The ability to truly communicate, to understand, to evolve. The human resistance had become something more than a military movement. They were pioneers of a new form of existence, bridge builders between civilizations. Humanity's greatest strength had always been its capacity to transform the impossible into the inevitable. The stars themselves seemed to pause and witness the moment of ascension.